Hey, welcome to a little bit of travel talk here on Monday, June 27th. It is 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 5 p.m. on the West Coast, where Tommy Danielson, my partner in Maxa Tours, is in the blue T-shirt or gray T-shirt, I can't quite tell, or sweatshirt. And Jamie Laronis is also part of Maxa Tours and is also a frequent flyer travel expert. I go to him for any advice on any ticket I buy.
Oh
And
my goodness, you do?
That's
yes,
why you're delayed so much.
yes, I do. And I'm Rudy Maxa. I'm a travel journalist and broadcaster, and I'm out here in California in Los Angeles, in Pacific Palisades, in the backyard of a friend of mine who's got a house much bigger than mine in St. Paul, and I'm on a little vacay for another day or so. So, welcome, boys. I don't know what you guys want to talk about, but I was surprised to see this mea culpa letter from it was the president of Air France today.
Was it Lufthansa or Air France?
Excuse me, Lufthansa, right? Apologizing for the miserable service and saying it'll probably be better next summer, which I was like, great, next summer.
That's good to know. Yeah, it's one of the things that, and it also in the news there too. In the news that we saw also that in the mea culpa, the thing that they're bringing back the 320. So with that, or the 380, Airbus 380.
There it is.
So Reuters, in the mea culpa letter, they are reactivating the Airbus 380, which has been parked and stored for since the beginning of the pandemic. Which is a good. I guess that's good news,
right? I think so too. Yep. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, they've got the flexibility to do that. I read an article today with Matthew Clint over at Live and Let's Fly, and he was talking specifically about American, but he touched on United and Delta and a few others about how some of the airlines during the pandemic, they're sort of screwed because they got rid of aircraft. And of course, it's really hard to bring back those aircraft once you lose the pilot training and all that stuff, and once you convert pilots and whatnot. So Lufthansa kind of, in a lucky spot that they can bring back the A380, but there's a bunch of airlines that got rid of aircraft that they're kind of screwed until a lot of the 787 build stuff, sort of gets sorted here over the next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that it is interesting, and also how specifically American Airlines, they got rid of a ton of airplanes that they sold or retired. Big part of their subfleet did, and United as well. And the funny part is that it's always interesting to see that they're used the excuses that all these travel companies now use. United cut, I think it was 5 wide bodies they were short, but they cut like the same capacity as like 10. So it's interesting, fascinating to see how that works out, isn't it?
Well, it just sounds like they're all just scrambling, trying to figure out how to serve as many routes as they can and cancel as few flights as they can, but yet fill up the planes, which seem to be having no trouble doing lately.
Right.
But it's definitely 800 flights canceled yesterday in the United States. I mean, it's every day.
Right. And let's move on to so the 380 is back. Being out there is terrible. Lots of cancellations. And tomorrow morning, actually, for those who have time tomorrow to dial in at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, I'm going to speak with Fleming Poulsen, who is going to be our guest on the Travel Minutes tomorrow. I don't know if you guys are going to be on or not, but you are, of course, welcome to. But Fleming is going to it's the end of an era for SAS. Tomorrow, all of the pilots, SAS pilots, the big strike is going to happen there, meaning that I think there's going to be a lockout, meaning that SAS are sending them packing, and they don't want them to be there anymore. So that means 100% of their flights will be nuked from the 29th in the middle of vacation time. And there's also a lot of strikes going on now in Europe. We talked a little bit about Southwest, how these pilots that make close to $300,000 a year on average are joining the fight for higher salaries. So it's interesting.
United did ink a deal with the pilots, so I think for about a 14% raise. I don't know how many years that's over, but
yeah, I think that it's good to be in forefront of that kind of stuff for sure. Delta and Delta, they're playing catch up with Delta, and at the end of the day, it's not good for the consumers, anything of the things that are happening now, though. It's just
right.
It's just leads up to higher costs for everybody.
Yep.
All right, so I found an interesting tidbit today. This is a targeted offer, so there is an offer now on the consumer platinum card from American Express, where you get 5 membership rewards plus extra, up to 1,500 points on the card. So that's an interesting gig. Check your American Express account if you're eligible for it. The other thing I want to talk to a little bit about is that it came out some information from Australia yesterday about the U.S. Congress eyeing another Boeing audit after multiple 737 MAX incidents. I don't know if you guys have a time to read anything about this today.
I haven't. What kind of incident?
So in this article that came out from ABC News in Australia, of all things, there you go.
Bless you.
There were audit of Boeing's production oversight following some 60 in-flight problems, including 6 emergencies involving the 737 MAX in the 12 months since the FAA cleared the plane to fly again. And I did a little research on my own today on this stuff, and it's just unbelievable how some of these politicians has it in for Boeing in a major way. So let me tell you about this. So there's this database. So these here are called SDRS, Service Difficulty Reporting System. That's what we're talking about here. So 60 incidents in the last year. There hasn't been any severe incidents. It is there's a short in the coffee machine. The shitter is full, or anything like that. It gets written up. It could be like some electronics that are failing and things like that.
Somebody's reading light is out or something. Would that qualify?
I don't think. Nah, that's a regular maintenance thing. But listen, so I did a search for American Airlines. It says Airbus here. The query, it's a government database, so it's a little bit quirky. You're going to have to work it a little bit. But I did a test on the 737-800 that American Airlines is their main meat and potato narrow body plane in over like a 3-month period of time. Guess how many SDRS situations there were in the report from that period?
More than
this is a MAX you're speaking of, or this is the
the MAX we have for all the manufacturers, for all the operators of the MAX, and there's starting to be a lot of them out there. For all of the operators of the MAX, there were 60 in-flight problems, including 6 emergencies, is what we talked about here. If you look at the government database and you try and search for American Airline, and you search for Boeing 737-800, so the model that American has by far the most airplanes of, guess how many SDRS situations there were in 3 months?
Obviously more than MAX, so you wouldn't be bringing it up. How many?
Right. Over 900.
Whoa.
In 3 months. And
Really?
Here we're talking about 60 in an entire year for every airline that operates the MAX.
Wow.
So if you look, and also we've seen there was the S7 that Airbus 320 that almost crashed. There were some balance issues on it. There was some throttle issues. There was a Mayday call for a 321 from American Airlines late last year. These things happen. Crap happens with airplanes. So what Congress is now doing, and what the spreading fear that's absolutely unfounded, and this is like the cry wolf times 5 million. So I just scores of 737 MAX. This is simplifying, and we're talking about a publication that's kind of a little bit credible here, that are making a complete ass of themselves when they could have gone into the database that it's referenced here and just search for the airplane types, which is much, much higher for any other airplane type there is.
There's a front page piece in the New York Times this morning, today, interviewing a family who did lose a family victim in a 737 MAX crash.
Right, and that's probably based on this, right?
And they said, we don't trust it. We're not letting our other kid fly on it, blah, 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 blah.
Well, people needs to do what they have to do. Yeah, so I'm sure that the $3.5 million the family got for their loss helped them at least a little bit and especially since they were from a developed country. But at the end of the day, it's tragic that it happened. But let's not kid ourselves here. This plane has been scrutinized. It has been checked. It has been double checked and triple checked. They have installed new things. It was on the ground for a massive amount of time, more than any other plane in the world. And what happened here was a system that was put in place that it wasn't let's just make it completely clear here.
The pilots weren't trained.
The first crash came out of left field, but there was a pilot that was on the inbound flight for that plane that had the same thing happen to him, and he was able to get the plane out of trouble. I have talked to multiple pilots, many pilots that have flown the 737 MAX or that has flown in the sim of a 737 MAX. That those Ethiopian pilots crashed that plane shouldn't have happened. It was completely avoidable if they had trained properly for what to do in that situation, that's the tragic thing. I mean, coming out and saying that you guys, this is a 737, training is going to be on an iPad. That to me sounds extremely kooky when it comes to what's needed here. And in remote locations, when we see that the big operators like Lion Air that has ordered 100 of these things, right? They're all over the place in the developed world, where they're probably not as it's not as stringent, the requirements, and training is probably not taken as seriously as here, or maybe it's just not good enough, whatever the case may be. That said, it's just right now a lot of people are going to be flying on it. I've flown on it a couple of times lately, and I mean, my recommendation is to go Google service difficulty reporting system with the FAA. And go in and do your own research. They say, and I'm not talking about that COVID ivermectin, your own research on YouTube. Don't go down the rabbit hole on that. Go to I'm going to put it in the comments section right now for those who are looking live on the stream, where you can go in and you can check it yourself. It's a little wonky. You have to play around with it a little bit, but when you finally get it to work, it speaks for itself. It is the safest plane out there. And so I think that's
okay.
All right. The last thing I have for today. Did you have anything else, Rudy?
Just very, very short. Intercontinental Hotel Group announced they're withdrawing from Russia. They have 28 IHG branded hotels in the country, apparently, and they're saying goodbye. They're cutting off their management and franchise contracts there with the Russians, and that's the end of IHG in Russia.
Yeah, my comment to that is what took you so long.
Right. Yeah, they're a little late to the game.
They didn't feel like Russian.
Oh my God!
I haven't heard that joke before.
No, I've never heard Jamie. Jamie.
All right. Last thing I had today. So what were you guys take on the bidding war for Spirit? Everybody wants to buy Spirit, or at least JetBlue and Frontier both want to buy Spirit.
Right. I don't know. Did anything happen today?
Yeah, they put in another offer. To be honest,
JetBlue?
JetBlue revised his offer, yes. Yesterday.
Upped it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they upped it, if I'm not mistaken, because I was with Henry Hardevelt the other day in Chicago. Like 48 hours ago, they updated it because we got a message. And then just now they did it again. I mean, this is literally, I think, within the span of like 48 hours, they've upped they're up over the weekend.
Right.
Wow.
It'll be interesting to see, and the funny part, you know what that is? It's not even approved yet. We don't know if this merger will, if the government will let this merger actually happen.
Right. Yep.
That's all I have for today.
That's all I got for today. Yeah. Jamie?
I mean, maybe the only thing that's pertinent top of mind here is you probably saw that an Amtrak train derailed out in, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
Was it? So you speak of the 737 MAX and all the scrutiny. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of scrutiny now on Amtrak. Although, frankly, the way I understand it, between the crash yesterday in California and now the one on the Southwest Chief from Los Angeles to Chicago. I believe both were caused by a person in a vehicle that was not paying attention going across the, the thing where there's no arm. I don't know what you call that, a crossing where there's no
At
signal.
least had blinking lights or something, I hope.
No,
Maybe?
there was nothing. The one today was, and you can sort of see by the pictures, it was in farmland, very rural.
Yeah, you can see the picture. I put it up on the screen.
There was no gate. It was just one of those things where you got to look left and right. And I don't know what happened with the truck driver, but he went across and derailed it. And I think there's 3 dead at this point. I don't know if there's more, but 3 last. I
50 and 3 dead so far. There were 200 passengers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you got to watch out before you cross over railroad tracks and stuff.
Yeah, tell me about it.
All right, I think that's what we had. Tune in tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time if you want to hear about the strikes that are going to have impacts on Europe. For sure, there are plenty, multiple airlines that are striking in Europe. So if you have connecting flights, that might be something to take in. I'm speaking with Fleming, who's in Copenhagen at the moment, and we'll talk a little bit about what to expect in the summer with all these strike and labor stuff going on there.
Okay, just a reminder to our viewers, this was done live on the 27th of June, a Monday, the 27th of June at 2:18 East Coast, 5:18 Pacific. So the information is
8:18 East Coast.
Excuse me, 8:18 East.
There you go.
8:18 the p.m. East Coast, 5:18 p.m. West Coast.
There you have it.
Just so if just to keep you, so if you're watching this a month later, you don't go, what train wrecks? So there you go.
All right, boys. Thank you so much for joining. We'll talk tomorrow.
All right. Bye-bye.